Oh, so close. I love going to carnivals in the summer, don't you? Playing games, I'm gonna do it again. Losing all your quarters, trying to win some cheesy stuffed animal, just giving up to go eat cotton candy and ride the teacups till you get sick. It's the best, isn't it? All right, here we go. Oh, I bet it'd be a pretty fun place to come to for your birthday. Oh, you know, when I was a kid, my mom would ask me every August, so what do you want to do for your birthday this year? Have you ever gotten that question? I never knew how to answer it because I was just a kid. I didn't know what there was out there to do. So I would always just say something like, bowling? So I didn't know what else to say. Oh, that was almost in. But one year, for my 10th birthday, my mom surprised me by taking me to Disney World. Disney World! I never dreamed I could go to an amusement park like that for my birthday. Oh yeah, and it was awesome. So much cooler than bowling. All right, I'm done. There's a guy in the Bible named Peter. He dreamed pretty small for his life too. Out of anything in the whole world that Peter could become, he chose to be a fisherman. Now there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, his dad and his grandpa had probably been fishermen too. But Peter was about to get surprised, like I did, with a life of adventure he never dreamed was possible. Hi, I won this at a game. Do you want it? Do you want it? There you go. You're welcome. There's a story in the Bible, in the book of Luke, where Peter and his friends James and John are washing their fishing nets down at a shore by a lake. Now they'd been fishing all night long and they hadn't caught a single thing. So they were tired and crabby and all they wanted to do was clean their nets and go home to bed. But then here comes Jesus, right? With a whole crowd of people following around behind him. Now Peter had heard of Jesus, had heard that he'd been doing miracles around town, that he claimed to be the Son of God. But Peter wasn't sure what he thought about him. So Jesus begins to teach on the shore, right? And all these people start crowding in around him until Jesus can barely move. So he turns to Peter and he says, hey, can I borrow your boat? And Peter's like, sure. So Jesus gets in the boat and Peter pushes it off a little bit from shore, away from the shore into the water. And from there, Jesus teaches the people. When he's finished, he turns to Peter, who'd been listening the whole time, and he says, come on, let's take that boat out into deep water, see if we can catch ourselves some fish. But Peter was like, listen, we've been out there all night and we haven't caught a single fish. But because you say so, I'll let down the nets. So they go out into deep water and Peter lets down the nets. And when he pulls them back up, they were full of fish. So Peter calls to his friends, James and John, and he says, hey, come quick, come quick. So they bring their boat out and they start dumping fish into their boat until both boats are so full, they begin to sink. And it was then that Peter started freaking out because he realized that he had just seen a miracle, a real live miracle. And Peter looked over at Jesus and he began to see him differently. Peter's view of him got flipped. No longer was Jesus just some guy that Peter loaned his boat to. The man standing in Peter's boat really was the Son of God. And the Bible says that when Peter realized that, he fell to his knees and he said, Lord, I don't even deserve to be in the same boat with you. You're the Son of God. You don't want to be around a fisherman like me. And Jesus, he just looked in Peter's eyes and he said, don't be afraid. Come follow me and you will no longer catch fish. I've got a great adventure in store for your life. And Peter began to think that if Jesus could fill 2 boats full of fish in 5 minutes, Peter wondered what else he could do. And Peter wanted to find out. So the Bible says that Peter, James, and John pulled their boats up on the shore, left everything, and followed Jesus. You know, because Peter was willing to obey and follow Jesus, his whole life got flipped. He was no longer a fisherman. He went on an amazing adventure. He got to be best friends with the Son of God, see him do tons of miracles, and Peter later became the leader of the first church. It was thousands of times better than fishing. In the same way that Jesus asked Peter to come and follow him, to be a part of the adventure, he wants you to. He wants you to be like Peter. When Jesus said, "Put down the nets," Peter did it. When Jesus said, "Leave your boat and follow me," Peter did it. Peter followed Jesus by obeying him, by following his directions. It seems simple, doesn't it? But it's hard. Because you and I, we always want to do things our own way, to do what feels good to us, to do what we want to do. But Jesus, he flips that around. What's the flip? Here's the flip. Jesus wants us to live his way, to let go of doing things our own way, and instead obey what Jesus teaches and live his way. It's like, you know, Jesus tells you to obey your mom and dad, right? Okay, well, let's say your mom tells you, don't eat anything before dinner. But you decide to do it your own way. And you sneak some candy, and you get caught. So for punishment, no dessert. Well, what you didn't know is that your mom was planning to surprise you with triple chocolate sundaes for dessert. But you didn't obey, so you missed out. Or what if you're at school and you tease someone because everyone else is doing it, but you didn't realize that if you had obeyed Jesus and been kind to that person, that you would have found out they were the best friend you ever had. See, Jesus promises you and I, just like he did for Peter, that if we follow and obey him, he promises us a life of adventure. And I, for one, don't want to miss out on any of it. All right, I'm not saying that you're gonna get a reward every time you obey Jesus, but believe me, you're in for a life of adventure, a life Jesus promises is the best way to live, a life better than we could ever dream of. Because you and I, we dream bowling, when Jesus may want to surprise us with much, much more. All right, I'm going again.